Hi everyone, Heather here with astrolotta.com, and today I'm here bringing you a video about Eris, the dwarf planet, who is named for the goddess of discord and strife. And this is going to be a relatively short video compared to some of my other ones, mostly because I did an unexpected collaboration interview with Lotta earlier this week on Tuesday about Eris. So a lot of the information that I had prepared for you today is going to be in that video. So if you haven't already seen it, I recommend that you go back and you watch the video. It's called Eris in Astrology. It's with me and Lotta. We go into a really deep discussion about the background of Eris, who she is as an archetype in mythology, and also her discovery as a planet, what she means in terms of like the collective influence, and all sorts of other things. So there's a really good deep background for the information that I'm presenting to you today, which is going to be Eris in all of the 12 houses. And so just to kind of reiterate, for those of you who did not see that first video, Eris is a dwarf planet that was discovered in 2005, in January of 2005, and she is named for the Greek goddess of discord and strife. And in terms of her individual sort of influence on people in their individual charts, she represents a process of liberation that takes place throughout the course of our lifetime. So knowing the placement of Eris in your chart can show you where you need to become liberated in this lifetime, and the transits to Eris sort of trigger this liberation and they accelerate this process. And so what Eris really does, and what transits to Eris do for us, is they reveal our true nature in this area of our lives. And in terms of transits from Eris, like if Eris is transiting one of our natal planets, it's a similar energy. It's a liberating energy where we have to sort of change and integrate new information and, get in touch with our own dreams and what our true nature. And so the Eris transits, the transits from Eris to our natal planets, those take about 5 years. And right now Eris is in Aries, and she's been in Aries pretty much the entire time that any of us has been alive. She moved into Aries in 1930. So unless you were born before 1930, you have Eris in Aries. And if you want to find the exact degree of Eris in your birth chart and you're not able to figure out how to do so, please, send me a message. I have my reader page. The link is in the description to this video below. And I will send you a PDF of an Eris ephemeris so you can figure out what year you're born, what month, and what degree Eris would have been at that time period. But otherwise, the main thing is she's going to be, an Aries in your birth chart, and so you should be able to really follow along with this video regardless, because we're going to go by houses, and I'll let you know what rising sign would have Eris in which house. And that's, going to be in whole house signs. I primarily use Placidus for this type of interpretation, but I look at whole house too, so, it's relevant for both. So whatever, type of chart that you like to look at, that's going to be great. That's going to work just fine. And then so sort of to begin this, I'm going to talk about the transit of Uranus to Eris. We just had this Uranus-Eris conjunction in the sky, 2016 and 2017, and that was more of a collective influence, a collective energy. But over the course of the past 7 years, Uranus has been transiting Aries, as we all know. And so because pretty much all of us who are watching this video, all of us who are alive today have Eris in Aries, Uranus will have transited your Eris over the past 7 years. And so I'm going to go through year by year and let you know what degree Uranus was at each year for the past 7 years, and so you can match that up to the degree of Eris in your birth chart. And so what this is going to do is it's going to show you a time period where Eris was triggered for you. It should have been maybe a period of liberation where you discovered something new about yourself in the area of life that we're going to go through when we go through the houses. It's a period of change and liberation and empowerment where we really find out what we truly desire and what our true nature is. And so these things could have been revealed to us in ways that were very unexpected and chaotic and out of the blue and out of nowhere, because this is Uranus transiting Eris. So we're going to have the energy of Uranus pulling Eris to the surface for us throughout this time period. And so this can be a very empowering transit, but it could also be a little bit more disruptive than it normally would be with Eris, because Eris is the goddess of disruption. She's, discord and strife and all of that. But in astrology, on a personal level, I've seen her as primarily being benefic, and so has my teacher Lynn Coiner, who a lot of this, information that I'm pulling from, is what she taught me and what she teaches and what she's written about, with my own spin on it, and I incorporate the mythology and my own experience in using this with the birth chart. But a lot of this is coming from, Lynn Coiner and her work. She spent years and years researching these types of planets. So, okay. So we're going to start getting into this now. So I'm going to go through the transit of Uranus by degree for each year real quick. That way you guys can just figure out where this was in terms of like what year this hit for you. And so in 2010, Uranus was at 23 degrees Pisces to 0 degrees Aries. 2011, it was at 26 Pisces to 4 degrees Aries. So if you have Eris in the first 4 degrees, then she would have been transited by Uranus in 2011. In 2012, we had Uranus at 0 degrees to 8 degrees Aries. So if you have Eris within the first 8 degrees in Aries, then you would have had this transit beginning in 2012, and it would have lasted into 2013. In 2013, Uranus was at 4 degrees to 12 degrees Aries. So anyone who has Eris between 4 and 12 degrees, you would have been experiencing this transit of Uranus to Eris, which would have activated your Eris. It would have been a liberating time, a time where you really discover your true nature in whatever area Eris represents in your life. Let's see. In 2014, Uranus was from 8 degrees to 16 degrees in Aries. So if your Eris is from 8 to 16 degrees, this would have been when this transit started for you. In 2015, Uranus was at 12 degrees to 20 degrees in Aries. So if you have your Eris between 12 and 20 degrees, 2015 would have been your year when this transit began. 2016, Uranus was at 16 degrees Aries to 24 degrees in Aries. So if you have your Eris between 16 and 24 degrees, it would have been activated around this time as well. And then 2017, this is going to be people, maybe your children or something along those lines, but anyone who has Eris between 20 and 28 degrees, actually it wouldn't even be at 28 degrees, so 20 to 23 degrees, because that's, Eris is at 23 degrees right now, would have been activated in 2017. And so, you know, again, this is a period of like liberation, unexpected events that sort of show you your true nature. And so I'm going to go through the houses real quick and just give you an explanation of Eris in each of the houses. And we're going to start with the first house. So the first house would be people that have an Aries rising sign would have probably Eris in the first house. And so this is where you spend a lifetime becoming liberated in your self-expression. You know, the ascendant represents sort of our outward behavior that we developed as a means to sort of cope in childhood. So it sort of represents what was deemed appropriate in terms of our behavior in childhood. And so, you know, Eris and the ascendant could represent sort of a process of being liberated from this sort of false behavior, this behavior that we did just to sort of appease the adults in our life or to appease other people in authority in our lifetime early on in our early childhood experience. So it helps you to be who you truly are in the world. It helps you to reveal who you truly are and reveal your true nature out in the world, out in public, as that lens, you know, that your personality is. And then for, you know, Pisces people, you're going to have Eris and Aries in the second house. And so this is a process of liberation in terms of your finances and your financial situation. It has to do with your attitude toward money and wealth and, you know, all those types of things. So it's a very, you know, physical and fiscal liberation process. And it's where, you know, new ideas and new things can be revealed to us in a way that's sort of shocking and shakes us out of our experience and causes us to think about things in a new way and to integrate these new experiences and to change from within as a result of this process of liberation and revelation that goes on in this area. And again, it's a very slow thing. It happens, you know, throughout the entire process of your lifetime. It shows where you need to become more liberated in your lifetime. And when you have a transit to Eris, that's when this is going to become ignited, and that's when this is going to become more apparent. And you might not actually realize that this is happening as it's happening during these transits, because it's sort of like a Pluto transit, except even longer and even more subtle, because Eris, her orbit is 558 years. So she is the longest orbit of any of the known bodies that we have in the solar system right now, in terms of like the planets. And she's also, you know, really far out there. She's farther than Pluto. Even though she's larger than Pluto, she's much farther out. So her influence is going to be very subtle. It's going to be very psychological. It's going to be on a deeper level, and it's going to start from within, like this process of change, this process of liberation, and then it becomes an outward expression later on. So the process that goes on during these transits to your Eris are going to be an internal process, and it's more brought out by long-term transits as well. So that's why I brought up that Uranus transit at the beginning of this, because if you think back to that time period, you might be able to sort of discover these themes and figure out what was going on for your life and how Eris works for you and where you need to become more liberated. So anyway, third house. Third house is liberation, change, integration in terms of your communication style. So this could be something revealed in this area that causes you to need to change from within. It reveals your true nature in terms of communication or communications from other people. It could have involved, things in terms of, your relationship with your siblings, early childhood developments, grade school experiences, those types of things. But in general, it's about communication. So liberating yourself through communication in some sort of way or becoming liberated. In the fourth house, it's liberation in your home and your family situation. So your lifetime is sort of marked by this process of liberation in that area. And, this is going to be Capricorn people. So the Aquarius people will have it in the third house. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. But Capricorn people will have it in the fourth house. And, this is going to be in whole house signs. My husband actually has Eris in the fourth house. And so when he had this Uranus transit to Eris, this was the time when he had to sort of reinvent his idea of what family meant. And, this is when him and I got married. This is when we got our dogs. This is when he also figured out that he didn't want to live in a big city. And, luckily I had a Uranus-Eris conjunction in square with my moon just shortly after that. So I realized I didn't want that either, so we moved. So there was a lot of sort of revealing of what he really wanted in terms of his home and family situation and in terms of his life, and a lot of rectification of past experiences with his family members as well. So, that might have been something that went on for people who have Eris in the fourth house, especially, Capricorn rising people, and during the time of the Uranus transit. But in general, it's a process of liberation through your family situation, through your home environment. Maybe, figuring out what you truly want and what you truly desire, what your true nature is in terms of your family, in terms of what you want for your home life. And for the fifth house, it's liberation through one's passions, through one's creative self-expression. It could be, your hobbies. It could be your interests. It's the things that you're deeply passionate about. It also has to do with children. So it's a process of finding out what you truly desire in terms of, if you want children or your relationship with your children, revealing your true nature in that area. And, that's one that I had. When Uranus transited my fifth house, I was really into astrology. I was very passionate about astrology. And in whole house signs, Eris is in my sixth house. And so what I did was I converted this passion for astrology into a career for myself, into my work. So that's, something that this Uranus transit to Eris did for me. So it helped to liberate me and to help me to become empowered in order to do the thing that I was truly passionate about. And so that's, a very fifth house thing. And also the fifth house rules entrepreneurs, so this could be, what you want in terms of creating your own business, and things like that as well. And then for the sixth house, this is going to be Scorpio. Excuse me. So Scorpio rising people, you have Eris in the sixth house. And so this is going to be the house of work. So it shows you what you truly desire in terms of your work and your daily routines. It liberates you in some sort of way. So it's a process of needing to become liberated in terms of taking control of your daily routines, especially when it comes to your health as well, because the sixth house is the health house. So this could be something like discovering alternative forms of medicine, looking at herbalism, rediscovering, the old traditional medicine, and, looking at nutrition and liberating yourself from the sort of standard healthcare system, something along those lines. That would be a very, Eris in the sixth house thing to do. And then for Libra rising, this is, it's going to be your seventh house. This is liberation in your relationships. So this is, figuring out what you truly desire, what your true nature is in relationships, and what you truly want in a partner in order to sort of complete you and complete yourself, to create that balance. And this could be, maybe came through in some sort of experience with a partner that showed you what you truly wanted and truly desired, something that was maybe chaotic and unexpected that came up over the course of the past few years when you had this transit with Uranus to Eris. But in general, this is finding liberation through partnership. And then the eighth house, this is liberation from fear and from all things that are beyond our control. So if you have a Virgo rising, you're going to have Eris in the eighth house. And so this is, it's fear, it's power and control issues, it's liberation from things that are beyond our control. So it's learning how to liberate ourselves and to surrender and to, not worry about the things that we can't control, and to empower ourselves to deal with the things that we can. And then in the ninth house, Eris is liberation through religious study, finding deeper meaning, philosophy, all these types of ninth house themes. So liberation through, finding God, connecting with the universe, connecting with something higher than ourselves. Liberation through study, through, higher education, college, something along those lines. Also liberation through travel, finding out what we truly desire in those areas of life. That's going to be a lifelong process. So things are going to be revealed to us in those areas time and time again, and we have to integrate those new things, those new processes, those new belief systems into our being, and then change from within. And then, so for Cancer people, you're going to have Eris in the 10th house, and this has to do with liberation through your career and your expression out in the world. So, you know, the 10th house is the house of career, public reputation. It also shows us how we really feel about people who are in authority, and also our own, you know, experience with being in authority. So, you know, this is liberating ourselves in terms of our career, showing us what we truly want, what we truly desire in those areas. And so you might have had some sort of experience in the past few years where that was revealed to you in a way that was unexpected, chaotic, where you had to like change and innovate and integrate all of this new information, which is really old information because it's deep, you know, it's in the core of our being already. It's just being revealed to us. It's hidden in plain sight, and it's being drawn out through the process of these transits. And then for, let's see here, for Gemini rising people, it's going to be in your 11th house. And so the 11th house with Eris has to do with liberation through finding your people, you know, your social circle, your social group, the people that you connect with, your soul family. This could also be liberating yourself through humanitarian types of work, charity work, those types of pursuits. So yeah, so you know, that's a very you know, looking for social networks, looking for the people that help you to feel liberated and empowered, and looking at what you truly want and truly desire in terms of your friendships and your, you know, your relationships and your social groups. And then finally, excuse me, sorry, I have a little bit of a sore throat. I'm gonna sip this. So finally, if you have your ascendant in Taurus, your Eris is going to likely be in the 12th house. And so the 12th house is the hidden house. So this is liberation through things that are hidden. It's through escape through mysticism, fantasy, spirituality, you know, finding solitude, meditation, liberation through your dreams. You can get powerful messages through your dreams that reveal to you your true nature. So that way you can sort of move forward and integrate that new information and change from within, and to become empowered and liberated in a lot of different ways. And so this is sort of just a very brief overview of what Eris does in each of the signs. Eris was only discovered in 2005. This is very new information, so we only have a very little, you know, amount of research to go off of so far. So, you know, this is only going to get deeper and deeper and deeper. There are people doing research. I'm doing research right now. So, you know, if you have a chart with a really strong Eris placement and you want to send me your information and answer a few questions, you know, I would love to do that, because I'm collecting charts on Eris right now as well, just as a side note. So you can send me a message on my reader page, you know, send me your birth information, especially if you have Eris on your ascendant, descendant, midheaven, or IC, or in conjunction with your personal planets, which would be your sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, or Mars. Those are what I'm most interested in looking at. So you know, I'd be very grateful to take a peek at that. But you know, other than that, if you have any questions, feel free to comment below, or actually, let's see right here if you guys have any questions right now. Okay, cool. So if you have any questions, feel free to comment below, you know, and I can answer them the best that I can. If you want to book a reading with me, I am doing single question readings now. So if you want me to look just at Eris and, you know, what Eris does in your chart, or like transits to Eris, I can do that. Or if you have a really specific question, this is a way that you can sort of get that answered in a way that's very concise and very to the point, where I'm really digging in and looking at a topic in depth. So, you know, single question readings are available now, and otherwise, you know, have a wonderful day, and comment below if you have any questions. All right, see you all later. Bye.